Val's in for a
I had a
fight
drink with
today.
lunch. No kidding.
So this section of the show is in collaboration with Cineworld Cinemas, and you can get tickets to see Maleficent, Mistress of Evil by following the link in the description down below. And you're about to find out whether it's worth doing or not. Because, Val, how was the film?
Well, I love that when you needed a review for Mistress of Evil, you thought of me.
Yep, that was it.
Is that what happened? I mean, yikes. No, I did make a note.
Have you put the pink on to soften you up today?
Yes, I thought I would be, much more palatable this way. So I made a note about the movie. Do you want to read my notes?
Yeah, I'll read your notes.
It says, it was awesome. I loved it. I feel like in the first Maleficent, which I've been pronouncing it totally wrong, it's Maleficent. And they're very careful about saying Maleficent instead of Maleficent, how I said it growing up, but whatevs, language. I loved it. Mm-hmm. I thought the first one was good, but I thought there was not a lot of evil in it. I thought there wasn't that much going on. It was a very heartfelt Disney story, which I appreciate, and I like. I mean, hey, I had just seen The Joker, so I needed some sort of palate cleanser to rewatch the first Maleficent because. Can we even talk about Joker?
Yeah,
in
we
this?
can talk about Joker.
Oh,
yeah. So we reviewed Joker for Cineworld as well.
Holy moly on a cracker! I mean, it was very disturbing. Had a few nightmares, so I thought, why not rewatch the first Maleficent? And it is a heartfelt, lovely story. But this one is sort of, it's a lot more action-packed. The story is even better, I think. Everything's better. The costumes, the cinematography. That is a real word, by the way. I did Google it before I came on.
Yeah.
Cinematography was fantastic. No, it really was good. There's something for everybody. There's like little woodland creatures. There's a lot of like boy kind of action scenes with the Maleficent sort of kindred spirits, people that are like her. I don't know what they're called.
Fae,
the goat people?
The goat people. The goat
Oh, they're
birds.
not called goat people.
The
goat
birds.
birds.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so there's some of that, but then there's lovely Disney princess moments for the little girls. There's something for everybody. I mean, the kid next to me was about 8 years old, and he didn't cry at the wedding dress scene, which I thought was pretty heartless of him, personally. I mean, I was bawling like a baby, and he was just sitting there. Didn't feel a damn thing. Yeah.
So this film's set 5 years after the original film.
Yes.
Where does the land lie going into it? What's happening?
Well, a lot can happen in 5 years.
I know.
Maleficent's still.
I lost all of my hair.
Is that what happened? Oh Lord, no. I mean, she's still kind of this. She looks kind of evil, but she's just misunderstood. Kind of like Bray Wyatt, looks kind of crazy, but deep down he's
a good guy.
Well, chocolate center in there, maybe. Maybe not. No, but I think with this, she kind of gets pushed to the edge, and it's sort of like your chance. That's why it's called Mistress of Evil, because that's kind of what I wanted from the first film. I wanted her to be more menacing, and in this one, she gets to kind of like kick some ass, really.
Yeah, because so she's living in the woodland area she's from.
The moor.
With Aurora.
Yes.
And then Aurora's getting married.
Yes, to a very strapping gentleman.
Yeah, and so Aurora's played by Elle Fanning. Angelina Jolie is obviously Maleficent.
Yes.
Am I saying that correct?
Maleficent.
Maleficent.
Yeah.
SoCal Maleficent.
Maleficent.
Prince Philip is played by Harry Dickinson, who is replacing someone from the first film, Brenton Thwaites.
Was that not the same dude?
No, it wasn't.
They look very
Apparently
similar.
It wasn't the same dude. It was.
That's crazy.
A doppelganger.
They're both. You have a what? No, they're both very cute.
I need to get it checked out.
At least I pop Pete with that one. No, they're both very cute. I'm sorry, but I'm from Orlando. I'm a big Disney person, and I want the princes to look like classic Disney princes, and they're very, they have this posture about them. They're very regal. They're very upstanding gentlemen.
So how are you with Dan Stevens as the Beast?
Oh my God! Well, I'm a Downton Abbey fan. My husband proposed at Downton Abbey. That's how crazy into the films the film and the TV show I was. So Dan Stevens, the only thing that was weird about that, not to go into Beauty and the Beast now, but because I knew him as, the character Matthew from Downton Abbey, it's sort of weird to see him as something else. And then it was a little weird to see Hermione as Belle.
Yeah.
So when we reviewed Aladdin, that was my main thing. As I said, I'm glad they used sort of, at least to me, unknowns, because it wasn't like, okay, this is Hermione pretending to be Belle for an hour. It was kind of like these new characters. So
but did you like Dan Stevens? Because obviously when he was the Beast, it was like Lion Man.
Yeah.
And then when he turned into the prince and he had the long hair, it was like weird poodle dude.
Oh, I loved it. No, he just has one of those sort of voices, and he just acts very upstanding gentleman. He's kind of just a Disney prince, I think, hopefully in real life. But I think it was great casting for him, for sure. And in this one, I thought the guy that was the prince was great. Michelle Pfeiffer, I mean, my gosh.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal.
So this is kind of what pushes. This is what pushes Maleficent over the edge, right? Is
yes, the evil queen.
The relationship with is it Ingrid?
Ingrid, yes. Yeah. So she's Queen Ingrid, and I mean, I don't know if we want to give spoilers or not. Oh, it's Ingrid. Oh, and I think it's a fictional sort of place that they're in as well. It's not like they're in Sweden or somewhere. It's just sort of a mystical land. They're in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Yeah, they live in the magical woods, and everyone else lives in Oslo.
Yeah, they're in Oslo. Yeah, they're in Berlin. No, so it's it's all very fantastical. There's kind of the fairy tale. Fairyland of the Moors, where they have cute little creatures. Again, that's what you expect from Disney. Some cute little woodland creatures and fairies and pixies and cute things. And then in sort of the real world where the humans are, you have Queen Ingrid and then her husband, who's a lovely guy. I don't know if we can give too much away. Yeah, he's great.
But there's some friction there because she's sort of becoming Aurora's stepmom.
Yeah.
And obviously Maleficent, I'm going to just keep saying Maleficent. I can't.
I know.
Maleficent.
Yeah.
She's obviously put aside some of her more evil tendencies to mother Aurora.
Yeah.
And now she's being confronted by somebody who thinks she's a good mother too.
And this is the problem. I think that's really what strikes a nerve in Maleficent is that it's sort of like, oh, she's going to be my daughter now. I'm going to be, she's the classic monster-in-law, if you will. It's sort of like Meet the Fockers with pixies.
So I read a bunch of stuff that said actually it was quite like Meet the Parents in the early going.
No, it is, because that's sort of the whole thing is that when Philip proposes to Aurora, it's sort of like, okay, well, they want to have your mother over for dinner. And it's like, have you seen my mom?
Yeah.
And then there's this whole scene about she's like, can you cover up your horns? I mean, that's just her whole essence. You can't take away the essence of Maleficent.
She's filing them down.
That's like inviting me to dinner and saying you can't wear a low-cut top. It's just not going to happen. So yeah,
I keep the breadsticks.
I don't know. I mean, that's the essence. So, but it's a great moment because it's sort of like Aurora's trying to keep the peace and like, okay, I'm going to meet my new family, my new in-laws, and hey, mom, will you cover up the horns? Here's a little scarf, and that's kind of when it all gets a little weird. But bless Maleficent's heart, she's trying to do everything right, and then they get to the dinner table. Spoiler alert! And Michelle Pfeiffer pulls this sort of monster-in-law act and does these little. Women do these sort of digs. Guys will just say whatever they want. Women sort of do these kind of snide, like, oh, well, she's going to be my daughter. She'll finally have a real mother. Total biatch moment. I mean, I haven't seen Michelle Pfeiffer this mad since Grease 2, when she was singing COOLRIDER, Cool Rider. Has anyone seen that movie, by the way?
No.
Don't see it. It's real bad.
But do see Maleficent.
Yes, you should. I think it's great for kids. Again, I was there by myself. Me and the questionable gentleman in the front row that was by himself as well, but he had like 80 snacks. We saw it alone. I mean, we were separate, of course, not by the end, but no. If you want to see it as an adult by yourself, please do. It's fun for the whole family, but of course, the kids. It's rated, I believe, G, or at least a rating that all kids can see it. Like I said, the kid next to me was like a 6 or 8.
Do you think it manages? So, I've had a quick glance at sort of the plot lines. There's multiple things. There's the Meet the Parents, Michelle Pfeiffer tension. There's a war of some description.
Yep.
There's all this stuff about finding out where Maleficent's from with her kin. Does this all balance well in the film?
It does, and there's a lot going on, but I sort of hate that when they have way too many storylines going on and it's sort of hard to follow, but I think that they did a good job of kind of spacing it all out because you are invested in the story of the Meet the Parents. That's really the basis of it, and how Aurora and Philip are trying to kind of coexist with their families and Aurora's kind of crazy background, and things go wrong, but then you have Maleficent going to her home, I don't know what, kind of a nest actually, of all her sort of winged kin, and then
kin.
Yeah, but then there's fun parts with the pixies, and Warwick Davis is in it, which is really really cool. Obviously from Star Wars and Harry Potter, and a really great cast as well. So I think that's what it takes: good storytelling, really good cast. It's fun. It's nothing too I don't like an overthinker with these movies. There is a lot going on, but it's easy to follow.
Where do you place it in the pantheon of Disney live action films? Because obviously,
good question.
Maleficent was a remake of Sleeping Beauty, but remixed.
Yeah.
And that was at the forefront of all the Disney stuff becoming these live action remakes.
Yeah.
And that was kind of quite a brave move, I think, to be like, we're refocusing this story on the villain.
Yeah.
And then everything else since has become actually more conservative and even less creative, to the point where we ended up with The Lion King, which was basically just the same film, but worse.
I think they did the right thing, like you said, by focusing sort of on the villain. And, it's like we go back to Marvel films, which Disney now owns because they own pretty much the universe, so at least the Marvel universe. But I digress. The point is, every hero is as good as the villain that they're battling. And then you have to wonder, why is a villain a villain? That doesn't come out of nowhere. So like a movie like Joker, you have to know someone's backstory and where they've come from. So for them to focus on the villain in this film, I thought was really cool. It might be a trend that we're seeing now because they also have a Cruella movie in the works. Probably my favorite villain of all time.
Is that just when she's running the fashion empire?
It's the wardrobe. And puppies.
And killing puppies on the weekend.
Well, yeah.
We
don't think about
how
that.
it is.
But no, I think focusing on the villain was cool. I think, like you said with Lion King, it gets a little monotonous to sort of keep doing the exact same format except with real people. It's like if it's too perfect and too similar, it's just kind of boring.
Yeah.
This was cool. This was its own story. They do cute little nods. Like, can I do a little tiny spoiler?
You could do little spoilers.
Well, like the something me as a kid, I remembered at the ending they had her dress changing color. They do a little bit of that at the end. It's very sweet to sort of give a wink and a nod to the original Sleeping Beauty, but it is its own story, its own universe, and you kind of figure out why Maleficent is the way she is. No wonder she's pissed off.
So not spoiling anything from like talking about the end too much, but do you think this is a series that will run on beyond this film? Do you think this is like part of like Disney's? It seems quite world buildy, this film, rather than like the first one was quite huge, quite close to.
Yeah, there's so many different lands in the film. They could do like a whole story of the Maleficent. What did you call them? The
Goatkin,
the Goatkin, the Dark Fae. They could have their own movie. There's a lot of characters that are kind of doing these cameos, a lot of cool different types of that creature. They could, but to be honest, as far as the Sleeping Beauty narrative goes, and they have, obviously it's Disney, you don't have bad endings. I hope they just leave it as is. I hope they do more villain movies, more Disney villain movies. Everyone's talking about The Little Mermaid. Ursula could have her own spin-off. A lot of these villains could do cool spin-offs. But for this, I hope that they leave at least the Sleeping Beauty part of it alone. But I could see them doing the Goatkin series, which I'd be here for.
Well, there you are.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Val.
Thank you. I loved it.
You can get tickets to see Maleficent, Mistress of Evil by following the link in the description below to get tickets for it at Cineworld Cinemas.
There it is.
Did I enunciate that well enough?
Yes.
Excellent.
You did.
Should we play? Do you fancy playing some